Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and welcome to a Scrap Mechanic tutorial. That is right, guys. I got a lot of feedback on yesterday's video. It is the piston steering tutorial today. So normally I would take Thursday off, but I got so much feedback from you guys regarding the piston steering. You guys wanted me to show you how I made it from the beginning. So I'm gonna do that today. So I do apologize. You know, I think we definitely learned something in last video there that I'm really not good at explaining things, so I wanted to do this video just to make sure I was a little more clear and do it kind of step by step. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. Alright, so to start off, we are going to have a quick look at our inventory here. So you can see we have a concrete block that is just used as the base. You can use whatever material you would like. We have our bearing here, as well as our pistons, obviously, for the piston steering, as well as a controller and a sensor. And then in my second inventory bar right here, guys, I have some suspension, the biggest wheel from the mod pack, which is 19 by 9, and we have our driver's seat, and of course, just a gas engine right there. So that's what's gonna drive the whole creation. So with that, we should be able to make some piston steering. So the first thing I normally would do is add the front one. So usually, like when I made the first one there, guys, I did the front and I copy-pasted it. So let's do that. So I'm going to pop a bearing down here, and then I'm going to count out a space. So this is the one here, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, which makes 4 in total. And then we have our center spot here, so we can mark that. And then we're going to leave us like a similar gap here, so 1, 2, 3, and a bearing. And then we can very easily just mirror that on the opposite side, like so. Alright, there we go. Alright, so this is where our piston anchors are going to go. So, it was brought to my attention on Twitter, actually, that I don't necessarily need the bearings. It wasn't moving very much. And I definitely kind of agreed. I was like, you know what, I'm pretty sure you're right. And I had that thought. But before we move on with the tutorial, I wanted to show you guys that those bearings are actually necessary. And I did some testing, so let's go over to the finished one here. So let's get a better view. So, alright. So, the left side, I removed the bearings, and the right side, those anchor bearings are still there. So watch what happens. When I turn to the left, you can see that there's a little extra movement in the piston, and you actually lose some of your angle of steering. And if we do it in the opposite direction, the same thing happens. You can see the left piston there is much shorter than the right one that is extended over there. So the bearings, as little as the movement is, actually makes a huge difference, and I can probably get a better angle right here. If you look down, I guess right next to my head, right about there, you can see when I let go of it, the piston actually does move maybe a couple degrees, but that couple degrees makes all the difference. But enough of that, let's get back to the tutorial. Alright, so to quickly recap, we got our anchor points here with the bearings. We have our center area marked as well. So the next step is adding your top piston. So we're going to go around here just like this, and we are going to add some pistons just like so. So those are obviously going to be the main pistons that do the wheel turning. And then we can actually flip underneath here, and we can go to our center point right about there. And we can add our second piston anchor for the bottom piston, just like this. Actually, you know what? That's, I guess, you know what? That's actually pretty good right there. They're matching on the top and the bottom. So we now have our 3 pistons in place. So this is something I did just to make sure I had enough room. So in this case here, I'm adding an extra couple blocks on the end of the piston here, as well as down on the bottom, like so. Alright, so now that we have that step done, the next thing we can do is add our bottom bearings just like this. So we have some bearings on the bottoms there, and we also need to pop a bearing right here on the top of that one. So that's where everything kind of swivels on that center point. So we can very easily connect that to that, and then that to that, so all the bearings are connected. And it's really nice with one of the latest updates. It was very secretive. They added the fact that you could just drag and automatically connect to a bearing. So that was really nice. Alright, so that's almost it, pretty much actually. So what I ended up doing in the design over there is I just dropped down a little extra point like this right here. So you can see we can weld that together like that. And then we can do the same thing on this side right here. Bring that over just like that, and weld that there. So now you can see this is the entire portion that is going to be turning, and this piston is going to stay straight. So it was actually kind of funny. The first time I made this, I actually just made it so that, like, this was down. Like, imagine that's all gone, and I had it straight from here like this, and the wheels weren't even turning or anything. It was kind of a funny situation. So we can actually just kind of make sure all that's connected. Okay, perfect. So there you go. We have that on that side, and we also have it on this side right here. So we can go to our second inventory slot and add some suspension for our wheels like that. And then easily just click and drag. Now both of the suspension pieces have been connected like so. And the next thing, of course, is to add our wheels. Now, I'm going to show you guys something that can happen in a moment, but right now I'm going to actually just pop these on like so. So we can put some wheels there like this, and you might be wondering, why did I extend it out like this and not just put it right up against it? And the reason why is actually because the wheels will get in the way of this top piece right here. So actually, I can actually just remove that. Oh, jeez. Popping the tire. Oh, that was pretty funny. But what we can do is add the bearing right here on this side. So this is for the sake of example, guys. I'm going to put a bearing right there like that. So the next step now is actually moving on to the controllers. So I put the controllers right here like this just to kind of make it a little easier to keep it organized and keep your head in the clear. So we can actually connect each of these top pistons like so in each little corner, nice and easy like that. And of course the next thing we can do is set it all up. So I'm actually just gonna, for the sake of example here, I'm gonna lift this up off the ground, and I'm gonna add some legs back here as support, just so we can keep this thing off the ground like that. Alright, so let's drop a lift down here. This would be a lot easier if I had a seat on here, actually. So we might as well just pop the seat down as well. So all of the pistons are connected that we need to connect. So the next step, of course, is setting the default. So in this case here, guys, I like to go with a 3, and it's really cool, actually, because you can change the angle of steering based off of your piston extension. So of course, guys, like I said in the last video, this center piston here is not connected to anything. It's just there for compression and stability. So the next step, of course, guys, is your sensor activated, like what is it? It's A and D converter. That's it. So we can do an A and D converter right here. So let's do that by putting a sensor here, and then right about there we pop a bearing. And this is a really cool A and D converter, because normally you would just have something like this hooked up to your steering, and you press A and D and it turns and it activates the sensors just like that. But in this case here, we're actually using both sides of our A and D converter just like this. So let's set our limits on the sensor range down to 1 like so. There we go. And now you can see we now have a crisscrossing action going on with the A and D converter, so we're actually activating 2 sensors at once, and that is so that we can have independent sensor and controller activation for each piston. Alright, so the next step now is connecting your sensors to your controllers that are connected to the pistons here. Alright, so this is kind of like a little bit of a finicky thing. You have to check it out. So if we turn left like this, we're going to want the left wheel to turn left, obviously, and the right one is going to turn left as well, but they do them in slightly different ways. So if we want to turn left like so, then this one here is going to activate that one, and it's this one here that is going to activate this one. Alright, so let's see now. We can actually, I forgot, this is another step here. In the controller, you have to make sure that you reduce it down to 3 once the sensor in this case is activated. So we can drop these down just like so. And there we go. So now we have our piston steering pretty much set up for the left turn. And then of course, guys, if we do the right turn, we can easily think about it right here. So if we hop in the seat and we want to turn right, we have to do the opposite essentially. So this one right here is going to get pulled in. So we can hook that one up here. And then this one here is going to get hooked up to this one. And now we have our right turn. So there we go. The left turn turns all the wheels to the left. Right turn turns it all to the right. So like I was mentioning though, we can actually change just how much travel there is in our turning radius, and we can simply do that by increasing our sensor and maintaining that 0 there. So we can do that there, make it go 5 there, and 0 there as well. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. And this is actually the first time I've done this, actually checking how much steering we can actually get out of it. So this is 5 range, reducing it down to 0. So look at that steering range. So now you can steer even tighter than before. So you imagine something like that over there that is 4-wheel steering. If you had it set up like this, you can see just how tight you would be able to turn. So that's pretty neat. So basically, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope I was clear enough. The final thing that I would do, though, of course, I mean, you can do this in multiple different ways, but I like to just copy-paste things because, I mean, it's a tool that we have in Scrap Mechanic, and it makes building a lot faster. So we can easily just go piston steer 1 like so and save that, and we can come over here. Let's spawn a second one right like this, turn it around, and what we can do is grab that there, and if I am not in the way, we can weld it together just like this, and now we have 4 wheels. So obviously, in this case, guys, we do not need this steering wheel right here, and what we need to do is just hook up our sensor activation up to that seat there. And so now you can see it's actually, it's reversed right now at the back, right? It's a mirror image, but it's copying itself. So it's really simple what you do at this point, guys. You just crisscross your sensors and your controllers, and then we just hook up this one right here to that one. And so now we just need to fill in the blanks basically for this one because it's the opposite. So we can hook that one up there and then hook this one up right there. So it's the same concept as the front one, it's just reversed because it's 4-wheel steering. So we can hop in the seat now, and you can see we actually have our 4-wheel steering. So that's pretty simple. Obviously, there is not much as far as design goes in this one, guys. This build is more of just like a proof of concept, and it's stuff that I can certainly apply to future builds. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, I am going to be making a monster truck, and you know what? I'm going to give you a little sneak peek idea here. You guys were actually, I was very surprised by all of the suggestions you guys gave me, and there was more than just one that was popular. I mean, okay guys, Gravedigger was #1, but there were some more that I really enjoyed those suggestions, so you might see some more monster trucks than you think. So we've got our gas engine hooked up right there, maxed power for those giant wheels, and now we can start to move, and we've got our 4-wheel steering. So there you go, guys. That is the tutorial. I really hope it was a lot more clear than yesterday when I was trying to explain it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, if it helped you out at all, if you enjoy the steering with the pistons and you are absolutely sick of being Wobble Wheels McGee, then make sure you hit that like button, guys. It'll let me know you guys are enjoying the content, enjoying the Endless Scrap Mechanic. And of course, if you really do want Endless Scrap Mechanic, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you will get notified of all the latest and greatest from Scrap Mechanic coming from me. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. So bye for now.